Hello, students. What we're going to do today is just give you a little bit of background on your first experiment on your own directions. Your investigation is going to be dealing with cellular respiration, fermentation, or photosynthesis. You will develop a background all the way to a conclusion. I need to put that in here. Sorry. And within that, you will do the same sort of thing that you did with the love note, except this one is going to be more up into your own investigation. So let's divvy into what your directions are. The first thing is going to do is develop a background. Within that background, you're going to do an introduction sentence about cellular respiration, fermentation, or photosynthesis. Then you will include some sentences about the purpose of that particular process and the steps of your process. And then you'll finish up with a conclusion sentence about what you are going to investigate. So your first sentence could be something into the range of cellular respiration is a process that produces energy that all living organisms use when they do anaerobic. I kind of messed that up a little bit, but it'd be something similar to that. Then you're going to go through cellular respiration has these steps. The first one is glycolysis, and this is where glucose is broken down, and then you continue on through it. Or you could do the same thing with photosynthesis or fermentation. Then you'll finish up with, and in this experiment, I tested the ability of blank to be able to make blank by increasing blank. In the last one, we had a lot of individuals not realize something that I thought was pretty easy, and that's if I put it in red, you delete it and then you fill in your information. So as you fill out the background, leave the word background because it's in black, but then delete the introduction parts here and put in your information. Over here, you then have the next step, and the next step after you've introduced your item, you'll come up with a problem statement. And it's something in the range, how does, and then whatever you want to include, you include, affect, and then whatever your process is. Again, what we want you to do is not so much leave this red that I've left red and in parentheses, you will delete that and insert what you want to hit. Then you'll identify the hypothesis. A hypothesis is not just a guess, it's an educated guess. And with that educated guess, you guys have done a lot of experiments in class. We've done an experiment with photosynthesis. We've done experiments with the carbon dioxide and the oxygen sensors with the beetles and the mealworms. We've done sensors with the... Some of you guys came in and did chicken ones. A couple of you even came in and did fish ones. You all did fish respiration, and we even had the biomolecule labs at the beginning that relates to this particular one. We want you to identify that material to help you come up with a hypothesis to your statement of the problem. So this hypothesis, again, it's in red. You'll delete that and insert a different item. Then you'll move to the procedure with a particular procedure. List the steps you are going to perform. Again, this is in red, so you'll delete this and you'll enter step 1 and what you did. Then you'll have here, again, step 2. You'll enter and then you'll do step 2. And then you'll continue on with those particular steps. You might have 100 steps, maybe you'll have only 10 steps. It all depends on what you particularly do with your experiment. Then you'll have to wait until your experiment is done to enter in the data. You can use a table or a graph. If you use a table, do the same thing as we did before, where you have a title, some columns, some rows, consistent format. Same thing here. If you use a graph, you use the same graph. The lab quest, you can definitely use the graphs that you create in your lab quests so that they're the same, and the lab quest even does tables, so you can use either one of those. You don't have to reinvent what the lab quest is doing. You just have to be able to incorporate it into this particular project. The last thing you'll have is a conclusion. With those particular conclusions, you will, no surprise here, delete out the red and insert in the actual material that you have. This was a pretty hard point into that idea of you actually need hardcore numbers here. We didn't do that the last time with the geranium, and what I'm looking for is key data points. In this experiment, we studied and then you'll put your statement of the problem. The data from the experiment showed that, and blank, but with actual hardcore, and that's what it means by key data points, so inserting the actual data points. And then you have your hypothesis, and this can be linked to. That would be basically the background, the problem statement, the hypothesis, the procedure, and the data, indicating that your hypothesis was either correct and that it was supported or it was not supported. Then you just go on to figure out if you what would happen if you continued with this experiment. What would you look at next? And we did a pretty good job on that one, so I'm not too worried about this last little part, because you guys in the geranium one, the individuals that turned it in, did an okay job. They did an okay job. So those are the particular directions for the experiment. It will be what we do next week while I'm gone, and we're going to start it up today, and you can start thinking through this week on what you were going to investigate, and then you will implement it next week.